What's up guys, Starlink here. Now if you already couldn't tell from the shirt that I'm wearing, I'm a pretty big Spyro the Dragon fan. After all, the original Spyro the Dragon was one of the first games that I ever received for my PlayStation back in the day. So for me and many others out there, when I first heard of the Reignited Trilogy containing the remade versions of these games, I was both excited and a little worried at the same time. Because after all, if you're a Spyro the Dragon fan, you know that the series kind of strayed down a dark path after Insomniac left. But I still held out hope for these games because it looked like the dev team at Toys for Bob knew what they were doing here. Plus, these games, they hold a special place and fond memories of me growing up with the PlayStation, so I wanted to take a look at them and see how well the gameplay holds up. Let's take a look. The original Spyro the Dragon trilogy. I have many fond memories of these games growing up on the PlayStation. In fact, the original Spyro was one of the first games that I acquired with my PS1 along with Mega Man X4 as a Christmas gift many moons ago. Once I popped that disc into the console, I was taken on a magical adventure with a purple dragon, exploring worlds, collecting gems, and having a blast while doing it. These are games that I still cherish and go back to playing to this very day. So naturally, I know them inside and out. So when I first heard that the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy was being remade for modern consoles, of course I was dying in anticipation for the Spyro games to receive the same treatment. Not too long after that, our prayers were answered when Activision announced the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. How faithful would these remade games be to their PlayStation counterparts, however? After all, many of us know that the Crash and Spyro games lost their luster after Naughty Dog and Insomniac left. For me personally, other than the short excursion with the GBA titles, that's where my journey ended with the Spyro games. I wanted to remember the little purple dragon in a more positive light than the mess he was turned into afterwards. Any fears I had were quickly put to rest when I finally started playing the games though. Everything felt familiar right down to the dialogue of the game. Each line was delivered exactly as I remembered them from the originals, only better executed. I was blown away on how accurate it was to the source, to be honest. All the voice work was redone with Tom Kenny reprising his role as Spyro, revoicing all his lines from Spyro 2 and 3, plus, for the first time, the original Spyro, which makes it all flow together rather nicely as a result. Everything about the story and the gameplay remain the same here. Running around, flaming everything in your path, helping out the local wildlife in each area, and collecting a vast amount of gems, as well as many other collectibles along the way. I promised myself that I would 100% complete these games again when the remakes came out, and I had a fun time doing just that. Thankfully, the skill points and trophies/achievements were not that hard to obtain, honestly. I did stumble upon the odd glitch here and there, with one being an annoying camera angle problem that happens in Spyro 3 when you get too close to the ceiling and going through tunnels. Luckily, it only ever happened in the Sergeant Byrd sections of the game, which are only few of. It seems to be triggered when you switch to an overhead view for some reason. Annoying as it may be, it's easily avoided as long as you don't press that button. It's something that could be patched out, sure, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Regardless of those minor flaws, however, these are games that are chock full of that platforming collectathon goodness that was represented in the 90s and are still enjoyable to play to this day. Take notes, Activision and Toys for Bob. If you ever decide to make a new Spyro game, make it like this. Don't stray too far from the original formula, please. The layout of each level is exactly how you'd remember them, just with a fresh coat of paint, and seeing them all recreated in the latest Unreal tech is simply a breathtaking sight. There were many times I just stopped and gawked at how beautiful these environments looked compared to their PS1 counterparts. A nice little added touch that I like is that every time Spyro breathes flame, it singes the ground beneath it. It's a nice little bit of graphical flair that put a smile on my face. The characters across all three games look great and are animated well, but the dragons from the first game are the biggest showpieces on display here. It was really cool being able to distinguish the differences between them across the many worlds you explore, something the original PS1 just wasn't quite able to pull off. To be fair though, the PlayStation did a great job for what it was capable of at the time. But regardless, the character designs look fantastic and are what I'd imagine them looking like back in the day if consoles had that extra bit of horsepower. Well, everything else seems to be improved upon from the original games from what I remember anyway, so it's only natural that the music would be as well, right? Oh yes indeed. Stuart Copeland, the composer from the original games, has returned and has breathed new life into each track. He even took the time to add an ambience effect to each track that kicks in whether you're looking through the guidebook or just sitting still long enough. There is an option to toggle this feature off if it really bugs you that much, but for me, it gives you that nice little bit of extra immersion and it really sounds great. For the purists who want to enjoy the original music, there's a toggle for that as well, which is a nice touch for those who want to play through the games that way. For me personally though, pushing nostalgia aside, I prefer the redone tracks myself. After everything is said and done, Toys for Bob did an amazing job remaking these games, and if I had to slap a number here, I'd give it 8 purple dragons out of 10. I was honestly quite shocked at how accurate the Reignited Trilogy was to the original source material. You don't usually see this kind of attention to detail in remakes, and it shows that the dev team must have been fans of Spyro themselves. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy proves that the gameplay of these titles still hold up well to this day, and it was an absolute treat playing through these games again, experiencing them in a new light. So if you already couldn't tell after watching this video, I absolutely loved the Reignited Trilogy despite some of its flaws. I mean, it felt like such a nostalgic overload playing through this game and reliving everything. It felt like the same game, but just with a fresh coat of paint. And it got me thinking. Now, Capcom, I know you're very unlikely to ever stumble upon this video because after all, I'm only just a tiny grain of sand in the vast desert that is YouTube. But bear with me here. If you happen to stumble upon this video in the dark somewhere, just take notes. I would love to see the Mega Man Legends games redone in this light in a similar fashion to the Reignited Trilogy. I think it'd be a great opportunity to reintroduce the Legends franchise in this light and then just casually announce Legends 3 is back in development. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing the ball way out there. But anyways guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. And did you guys play the Reignited Trilogy? Are you a fan of Spyro the Dragon? What do you guys think of other games, other titles being remade in a similar light to this? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave your comment down below. And as always guys, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Reach for the stars. I was both excited and a little bit worried at the same time. After all, if you're a Spider-Man, did I say Spider-Man, really? That doesn't look like Spider-Man behind me, so where in the hell did I pull that from?